All right, so let's come to the interesting part. We'll go ahead and create a database. We'll go ahead and then create a table, and we'll insert some rows into that table. And then we'll go ahead and give permissions for a particular user to use that. We'll create the user along the way as well. So let's go ahead and start. Let's create a database and call it MyDB. And this is an example I'm taking right off of the InfiniDB installation guide. So, all right, so a database is created. Now, if you look at show databases, you should be able to see MyDB. There you go. So once you've created that, let's use MyDB, and within that, create a table called table 1, and let's just call it T1, or let's say table 1. And then we'll go ahead and say column 1 is an integer and column 2 is a varchar of 10 characters long. So, and then I specify engine equals InfiniDB. So in normal MySQL, you would have specified either as a MySQL, I believe there's an InnoDB and there's another DB, I'm not sure what. But in this case, you'll have to specify the engine as InfiniDB. So let's go ahead and create that table. And it's done that. So let's say show tables. We get the one table, select star from that table. There is nothing in that table, so it'll just show you an empty set. Let's go ahead and insert some stuff into it. Insert into table 1 values, let's say 1, and then hello, and then let's 2 and world. All right, so we do that, and then sure enough, no 2 records have been inserted. Select star from table 1, and there you go. You see the 2 records. All right, let's go ahead and create a user using the create user command. So I'm going to say test user at, and I don't want to restrict it to the local host, so I'm going to give anybody named test user access to this from any connecting from any host. So I will say create user identified by and create the password. So I go ahead and do that, and that's fine. It's created. Now what I need to do is I also need to give this particular person access to the InfiniDB _v table. So this is pretty important because InfiniDB uses a dedicated schema, and it's called InfiniDB vtable for the creation of all of the temporary tables used for the InfiniDB processing. The root user has permissions to this by default, but we must explicitly give permission to all other user accounts to this schema, otherwise things won't work. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and grant all on InfiniDB _v table star to the user account we just created, say to test user. All right, so that has been given. Now we'll go ahead and use the so let's go ahead and grant all on the new database we created. So that's MyDB, I believe that's what we called it. So grant all on MyDB dot star to all of the tables and views and everything in MyDB to test user at, let's just say to test user. Let's say to test user, and done. So now we've granted all access to MyDB to this test user. Let's go ahead and see if we can connect to the InnoDB server on Ubuntu from the Windows host.